From the Ron McKeefery Podcast Network, I'm Isaiah Castilleja, and this is Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0. In this episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0, Firefly Recovery talks to us about the importance of moving the needle for athletic performance and recovery, the future of Firefly and research developments, and how sports performance coaches and athletic trainers can collaborate to improve the athlete experience. All this on another episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0. Today, I'm joined by Lauren Campbell. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at Firefly Recovery. Prior to that, she was the Principal for Strategy 360 with stops at Ferrara Candy Company, and Nestle. I'm also joined by Jake Wilks. He's currently the National Director of Firefly Recovery and was employee number one at Firefly before it even became Firefly. And he's also had stops at Forum Health, Iron Tribe Fitness, Apex Current, Nike, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Colonial Life, and Conlan Sodrosky, currently a sales associate at Firefly, but prior to that, he was an athletic trainer for Wake Forest, XFL, Atlanta Falcons, and the University of South Carolina. Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Can y'all tell me a little bit about your roles at Firefly Recovery?
Yeah, if you want me to go ahead and hop in. So my name is Jake. Again, like you mentioned at the beginning of the call, I was brought on with Firefly back in 2018 when Firefly was coming to market as a recovery device. Anthony Genstead, the founder of our company, had brought over the medical device from the UK and started selling what's called the Gecko. So anybody that's listening on the podcast, Gecko is the medical version of Firefly, and Firefly was the over-the-counter version that Anthony started bringing into the athletic training rooms and the sports physicians and performance facilities. Back in 2016, 2017 is when Anthony started kind of putting Firefly into the athletic training rooms. He brought me on to essentially help grow the presence in the college and pro sports market. So I was brought on to help all things in terms of getting Firefly into the professional and collegiate programs. My background was played running back in college at Stanford University. Conlan, what is our motto there?
Not Stanford.
Yes.
Go ahead. There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Sam, not Stan.
Yeah.
So Stanford is a FCS Division I AA program in Birmingham. But I played running back in college. Yeah, got into sports performance after college, and then got into medical sales. And then, was very, very, very fortunate to get into the sports medicine side of the business, which has just been a dream come true. It's been a blast. But yeah, we started selling Firefly into the athletic training rooms, back in 2017, 2018. And it's really been a grassroots efforts. We started with a couple teams in California where our company's based out of. It was actually the physicians and the athletic trainers for the Lakers, Kings, Ducks, Dodgers. Those were some of the first teams to integrate Firefly into their recovery protocol, specifically for travel. And then we had some pioneers in the athletic college market for us, and that was heavily due to USC, Russ Romano, and some of the bigger colleges in LA. That really, kind of validated Firefly as a recovery product, and their biggest feedback was the scalability and portability of the product fit a need in the college landscape. Obviously, student athletes are struggling to budget time to recover because they're in the athletic training room with hundreds of other athletes fighting for training tables. And obviously, anyone on the call that's in the college landscape understands that student athletes, their schedules are insane. And where Firefly really meets the need is having athletes being able to recover on the go. So I'm a huge component of Firefly. I love it. The research is incredible. But not only that, it's one of the few technologies that athletes can use in and outside of the training facilities, and provides a ton of value for athletic trainers as well. So great product, great company. We've really grown pretty tremendously over the past 7 years. We work with over 1,500 colleges now. We're at about 90% of every pro team across all leagues, and have been one of the most integrated recovery tools on the market. So yeah, it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of relationships. Happy NATM for all the athletic trainers out there.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out.
working your tails off. We appreciate everything you guys do, and honestly, just honored to work within this community and solve a need and add value to athletes and athletic trainers. But it's been a heck of a journey, a lot of fun, a lot of work. Me and Conlan have prided ourselves on not being order collectors. One thing that has separated us is that we get into the weeds. We go to these universities, we educate, we provide top-notch customer service, and we're there to add value in every way we can. So I think as a small company, I think many people don't understand. We're only a team of 6 people total. So
Oh,
Conlan
wow.
and I are the
Okay.
sales directors. And it's
Nice.
funny because most people see us being a lot bigger than we are, but we work really hard. We have a great team, a great family, and honestly, just very proud to represent Firefly. So that was a long-winded introduction, but I'll let Conlan take it away. Conlan is my right-hand guy, and has done a phenomenal job with us as well. But I'll let him introduce himself.
I've been an athletic trainer. I went to grad school at the University of South Carolina, studied advanced athletic training. And then right out of there, I got a seasonal internship to work with the Atlanta Falcons for a year. Um, Obviously, after that experience, the roles that I was receiving job offers for were football related. So after, the Atlanta Falcons, I went and joined the XFL, the second go around of it, where Vince McMahon was the of the league, and I worked for the New York Guardians of the XFL. Honestly, an unbelievable experience. I mean, it was awesome. Just kind of everyone had a similar goal of kind of getting to the next level and just putting your head down and grinding. Um, Worked there up until COVID. COVID shut the XFL down, so made the jump to the college world where I worked for Wake Forest University for 3.5 years with the football team there. So really was a practicing athletic trainer for about 7 years. Still an athletic trainer, but came a time in my life where I was kind of looking for, the next step, kind of looking to get out of the traditional athletic training setting. And that's when I met Jake. So Jake was actually doing an in service at Wake Forest University, where he was, doing his thing and educating the athletic trainers on the technology of Firefly, the various ways you can implement it. And me and him just, struck up a conversation after the in service, and I think that we hit it off, and he was looking for that right hand man because, like Jake said, I mean, Firefly's been growing tremendously over the last 3 years. His responsibilities with Firefly are, professional sports and Division I athletics. So as the awareness of the technology started to grow, he started to and phone calls from Division II, Division III high school athletic trainers and strength coaches looking to bring in the technology, but really just didn't have the bandwidth anymore to handle all of that due to how fast we were growing. So Jake brought me on to basically lead the sales in the D2, D3, NAIA, and high school world. Kind of a niche professional sport for me too that I cover is the professional hockey, so anywhere from the NHL to AHL, ECHL, junior hockey leagues, because hockey's my sports, what I grew up playing. So that's kind of my realm of Firefly and what I oversee. Honestly, at first I thought it was going to be, a little bit of a challenge, but it really hasn't been. A lot of that is due to the limited resources that a lot of Division II, Division III high school athletic trainers have, with the large number of athletes that they also have. So, a lot of these schools might only have anywhere from 2 to 5 athletic trainers to cover hundreds of athletes that, again, like Jake mentioned, are all coming into the athletic training room, hoping that a table's open, hoping that equipment's available. The Firefly device, I always say, serves as an extra set of hands outside the athletic training room doors. This is a unit that athletic trainers and strength coaches can provide to athletes to be getting an extension of treatment and care while they're sitting in class for 2 to 3 hours, or while they're on a bus going to and from an away game. So I think it almost makes even more sense at where you have limited resources, the same number of athletes. These athletic trainers are covering, 3 to 4 sports in one fall or spring season. So the growth in the Division II, three NAI high school realm has honestly been incredible. The word of mouth has traveled. And like Jake had mentioned, I mean, the scalability of the product is obviously there's nothing else like that out there. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my world right now, is just continuing to put my head down, grind, and, um, you know, work with anyone that is willing to bring on new technology and hear about the importance of Firefly. So that's my background. That's how I got into Firefly and kind of what I've been spearheading over the last 3 years.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll speak to both of y'all's statements on that. Is I first learned about Firefly, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago when our football team at the Colorado School of Mines were making some national championship runs. And you know anything about the football season, when you're going to the championship games, it's a long, long season. Even with our postseason, it's considered a whole nother season because it's almost 6 weeks, which is basically a whole half a regular season. So, and a lot of our athletes get dinged up as football will do to the body because, as you all know, is a pretty violent sport. And I notice all of our guys are, when we travel or when they're just walking around, they had Firefly devices on it, and we have a good relationship with our athletic trainers there. And I was able to really notice what it was, and I thought it was really, really brilliant that that you get that technology on them, and they can just go about normal life, and like you said, provide a little bit of a break for our athletic trainers who are inundated with everybody. If we can just help put them on some of our athletes and give our athletic trainers a chance to get a step ahead, I think that's a great thing. What would you guys say is the next big thing y'all are looking forward to at Firefly? Because you've had tremendous growth in the last 6 or 7 years, and I guess the question is, what would you tell most of our listeners are sports performance coaches, strength and conditioning coaches at the professional, high school, and collegiate level, and you're most likely already at where they're using at their schools that they're at. But what would you want to tell them about how we can integrate Firefly into strength and conditioning, or help them bring it up to the athletic trainers?
I think I'm most excited about just the landscape of where we're moving toward as an everyday recovery product. I think Firefly started. Again, we've kind of grown each year based off of applications, and the more teams are using, what we're seeing is the more they're buying and the more they're utilizing at a higher level. So each year we're seeing growth from, let's use this for travel, or let's use this for return to play. Well, hey, if we could have 60 guys getting recovery 3 days a week, why would we not? I was just at Indiana
Yes,
national
I saw
champs.
that. Yeah, I saw that
And
shirt. Nice.
I had a wonderful time with Kyle Blackman, their head athletic trainers, and their performance coaches were both at the time. Derek was the head strength coach. He just left for Tennessee, but both Kyle and Coach Derek sat down with me about 2 years ago to think about using Firefly. That usage kind of doubled this season, but they were one of our largest users in the country, and it was just really encouraging to hear. When you're a college football program, obviously these Power Four schools have unlimited resources for the most part. They have recovery rooms, they have all types of gadgets and modalities in the athletic training room. But one thing they don't have more than others is time. Every student athlete still has the same amount of time. These student athletes are coming to going to practice. They have morning practice. They have lifts, and then guess what? They're leaving the facility because they've got to go to class. Hopefully, as they should be. But the biggest feedback from athletic trainers, and then we have a struggle getting our athletes to stay in the facility or to come back to the athletic training room. And I think a lot of Power Four schools, see that we're spending millions of dollars on recovery spaces and state of the art, rooms that 3 or 4 athletes have time to utilize in a certain day. So the more feedback we're hearing from sports medicine directors and athletic directors is like, hey, how can we meet the demand of student athletes and have them recover where they're at? Because we're struggling to spend millions of dollars on these spaces that athletes don't really have time to utilize. So where I see Firefly morphing into, and what we're seeing more and more, is not that we're the silver bullet. There's a lot of great modalities in the athletic training room that athletes have access to, but we're being able to get high load athletes 2-3 hours of recovery 3 days a week. If you are an athletic trainer or a head performance coach or the head coach at a football team, and you're saying, hey, there's a product that our high load athletes can get 2 hours of recovery on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's a game changer. And we're seeing that in the college football playoffs. We worked with 11 of the 12 teams heavily. So we're seeing the top teams in the country that have lots of resources investing heavily in Firefly. And I'm talking 6, 7, 800 pairs of Firefly for a football team. I mean, we're talking tons of Firefly devices because it's able to meet the athletes where they're at. So I think I'm most excited about us continuing to move the needle for teams. And we're seeing, Olympic sports using this. We're getting testimonials from national champions saying, hey, you guys helped us move the needle. We use this on every road trip. Our athletes use it for 2 to 4 hours for the game. So I think it's cool to see that we're a recovery product that has the science behind it. But we're also seeing it, we had UC San Diego last year made it to March Madness for the first time in program history. And they're cutting the nets down on TV, and they're chanting the word Firefly. So they're literally using the word Firefly, chanting, while they're cutting down the nets because of how effective it was for post-game travel and recovery. So it's cool. I think it's awesome to see your product being utilized to help athletes, which is ultimately, where we find success and how we find value in our jobs, is that we're moving the needle for teams. And I think when teams start to look at the budget and their outcomes, it's not just a check the box thing anymore of, we got to have these recovery tools because every other team on the market has it. It's specificity of what are we doing for our treatments and what's actually moving the needle for our teams. And I think we're positioned, I think we're doing that. So that's what I'm most excited about. We have a lot of cool stuff coming out. We're doing more research. We are moving the needle with research. We have research. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but we are doing research with UCLA and sleep data, looking at how we affect sleep. We're doing more and more research with upper extremity use. So we have teams using this for the upper extremity with research coming out. We've had a bunch of anecdotal success over the years. So yeah, we're always looking for new ways to move the needle. Last year, we did research using it as a warm-up device. So we have really cool studies from the physio for the Washington Spirit showing how we increase muscle excitability prior to competition. So I think what we're excited about is the continual growth of Firefly, but also us continuing to push the needle of applications.
That was the area, Isaiah, that I was really going to focus on was, Jake had mentioned that, our technology started as a medical DME product for post-op care to, prevent blood clots, DVTs. So that's where the Gecko, the medical device, the world that started in. Now, the Gecko shares the same technology as the Firefly device. It's called the on-pulse technology. So before we even got brought into the athletic space, there was a ton of research supporting the validity of Firefly and how it affects with just overall recovery in individuals. The cool part for me is that now that Firefly has taken on, it's a beast of its own. Not only are we getting these new research studies showing the effectiveness of these for warm up, and like Jake mentioned, kind of dabbling into that upper extremity usage, but these sports performance coaches and sports medicine directors, they're not only writing testimonials for us, we have people volunteering to do case studies for us. And like Jake mentioned, we're a team of 6 people. We don't really have the resources to be conducting our own research. So to have teams that are volunteering to do case studies so that they can show the effectiveness of how Firefly is not only helping enhance recovery, but how it has a direct correlation with improving performance as well is pretty awesome. There's a University of Louisiana football study that the sports medicine staff literally wanted to show the coaches the impact that Firefly has on performance during an OTA workout in their athletes. They did this to pitch Firefly to the coaching staff so that they can get hundreds of Firefly for the season. Well, after the coaches saw, the research and the case study that they did, they were blown away and obviously brought in tons of Firefly. So that's the cool part to me, is that we have these performance coaches and athletic trainers that not only see the value in it, but want to take a deeper dive into the literature and the research of it. And we never hide from the research of the Firefly because we know that it's effective physiologically through the on-pulse technology research early on in the journey. And Jake mentioned too, I mean, I know that most of the people listening to this podcasts or performance coaches. Me at the Division II, Division III high school level, I have, the feedback I get from a ton of these performance coaches is that, you're doing lifts with numerous teams within a day. So you might finish up a lift with the baseball team and then immediately waiting to come in is the track and field team. Well, how a lot of my performance coaches have been using the Firefly due to that newer research of muscle excitability, in wearing these for pre-activity, they'll have those athletes throw a Firefly device on their legs while they're foam rolling, while they're static stretching, they're doing mobility. The entire time that they're wearing these units and simply just doing static activity, they're getting a 400% increase in circulation throughout their entire lower extremity. They're getting a dynamic warm up before they even walk into the weight room. So the minute they get into the weight room, it's time to lift. You guys start doing, whatever you do, and don't have to spend that additional 10 to 15 minutes getting athletes loose, because while they were foam rolling, they're getting this increase in circulation and lymphatic drainage. So not only on that warm up side, but then that baseball team that just left, for those athletes that are going to go to lab for the next 2 hours, or they're going to go sit in class for the next 3 hours, they can take this Firefly with them, and they're getting active recovery while being completely immobilized, sitting still. So, that's what I'm excited for, is like every year it seems like there's something else new coming out of, well, hey, we know Firefly works tremendously for recovery, but now we have this research study showing it works incredibly for warm up. And now we have stuff coming out showing the effectiveness of using it, for the upper extremity. So it just seems like it's never ending, just positive stuff coming out from not only our side, obviously, but the people that use our product and trust our technology on their athletes.
And definitely. And I when I'm listening to y'all talking, I can't help to think that we also got private sector strength coaches. So whether Exos or Barwis or Landau Performance, what was something you'd want to tell them that, we have listeners that are performance coaches that are coming out of the collegiate realm or professional realm, and they are having their own business, and a lot of time they're partnered up with not a trainer or a physical therapist and making it big where they're at. I'm assuming they all know about Firefly, but if there's something we could tell them to be like, hey, like, we can do the private sector as well.
Yeah, and to build on that, and hi, sorry I was late. We were actually just doing a recap call with Oakley. We had partnered with Oakley on their Icon Alliance for flag football, and they were talking about just the challenges when you have a tournament, whether that's youth all the way through, collegiate. You have a tournament setting, you're on the road, you're not able to bring all the modalities with you, and everyone needs it at the same time. It's not like you can kind of rotate in and out. Everyone's on the same schedule in that setting. And so having something that's easy to use, that can be used, at the field, in the hotel, on the go, in the car, on the bus, on the plane, right, is just an easier way to be able to address as many athletes as possible, as opposed to just this like modality that you can only have one person in at a time, that type of thing. So we were just doing a recap on that. So I apologize for being late.
Absolutely. And thanks for joining us. And I was talking with Jake and Conlan, and we were mostly going over, their history of Firefly, and they're very passionate, and they can speak to having used it and help it grow. And I think I told our listeners that, the reason I know about Firefly is because it was on all of our athletes in our deep postseason runs. And and I think it's a great technology, and we're trying to, let all the strength or sports performance coaches know, Conlan and Jake have done such a good job getting it into all the collegiate and professional and even high school areas that it's just kind of like, hey, what's one thing you would tell a group of predominantly sports performance coaches, how this product can help them out, and, and they were talking about the research that they were doing and helping with the pre-workout and everything, getting ready. And I think that's very exciting. And I guess the last question I had asked them, and I could ask you, Lauren, is what's something that you all got coming out that you're excited about, or that you're working towards, that could continue to give back to our profession?
Sure. So I think one thing, and we'll be able to fully announce this soon, but we're going to be partnering with an airline to assist everyone with travel. So I think what's interesting in Jake, who joined Firefly many, many years ago with me, and it is as we've grown, we've seen travel specifically as a huge pain point for everyone, but especially athletes. And we're talking about the actual experience of travel, right? When you're seated for long periods of time, you're actually not getting blood flow during that time. And so that is something that, you know, anyone who is concerned with athlete wellness, well-being, and performance, right, is going to be focused on. So that's a space where we're really excited about the potential of expanding. The other is just our global expansion. We are now available in Canada, the UK, Australia, much of the EU. So really expanding that message beyond just US, I think is another area that we're really excited about. And I think as your audience grows, hopefully this, message can reach more people and continue to, become an available tool that is available in a number of markets.
Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you to our great guests for taking the time to share their experiences. Thank you to Play and Team Builder for being great companies that help our profession. And most importantly, thank you, the listeners. Please find us on social media at Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0. Find our show notes on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Leave us a rating, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to say hi. It's great to hear from coaches from around the country. Talk to you all next week on another episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0.